Described as a shy, quiet and responsible child, 10-year-old Beverly Potts was fascinated by performing arts, and when a troupe of musicians, dancers and other performers called Showagon was performing in a park less than a mile away from her home, young Beverly didn't want to miss it. Excited to watch Showagon's performance, Beverly left her home on the evening of 24th of August 1951. Sadly, she never came back. Beverly Rose Potts was born on April 15, 1941, in Cleveland, Ohio, to Robert and Elizabeth Potts. Beverly's father, Robert Potts, worked as a stagehand while her mother, Elizabeth, was a housewife. She also had an older sister named Anita Potts. Out of affection, her mother used to call her Rosebud. Beverly was a fourth grader at Louis Agassiz Elementary School. Her family described the blonde, blue-eyed girl as being a shy, quiet and responsible child who was particularly cautious of strangers, especially men. Despite her young age, neighbors frequently hired Beverly as a babysitter for their children. When a group of dancers, actors and other performers that traveled around Cleveland neighborhood parks was scheduled to perform at Halloran Park on Cleveland's west side, 10-year-old Beverly Potts, who was a fan of performing arts, didn't want to miss the opportunity. She begged her mother to let her see Showagon's performance. Hesitant at first, Elizabeth finally gave in and allowed her daughter to attend the show. It was a decision which Elizabeth regretted for the rest of her life. On the evening of August 24, 1951, Beverly, alongside her friend Patricia Swing, left her house at Lynette Avenue for Halloran Park on Cleveland's west side. At around 7 p.m., Beverly and Patricia arrived at the Halloran Park, but upon seeing the large crowd, the girls decided that it would be easier to maneuver on foot. So they went back home and after leaving their bikes returned to the show at around 8 p.m. At 8:45 p.m., Patricia, who had promised her parents to be home before dark, left for home, while Beverly, who was allowed to watch the entire show, stayed behind. By 9:30 p.m., the show had ended and people were heading back towards their homes. Beverly's parents were waiting for her to come back. When she didn't show up by 10 p.m., they became worried and began looking for her. Hours passed and there was still no sign of Beverly. Robert and Elizabeth decided to notify cops about her disappearance. Police arrived at around 12:30 a.m. A full-scale search for Beverly was launched, which soon became the biggest search in Cleveland's history. A reward of $1,500 was also offered by the AFL Stagehands Union, which Robert Potts was a member of since 1924. Beverly's family, friends and acquaintances were interviewed by detectives. A 13-year-old boy named Fred Cross said that he saw Beverly at around 9:30 p.m. According to him, she was heading towards the direction of her home. The boy said he recognized Beverly through her unique duck-like gait. Some of the witnesses told police that they had seen a girl who matched Beverly's description talking to two young men in a battered black 1937 Dodge Coupe. They said that the girl never entered the car. On the possibility of Beverly running away on her own, Elizabeth said, "I know she didn't run away. She must have been dragged off by force. She was a shy little girl and had been warned against talking with strangers." A week after Beverly went missing, police received a tip. A factory worker said that while he was taking a break near the Cuyahoga River, he saw what looked like a 5-foot-long bundle floating in the river. According to the man, the bundle resembled a body. Police acted on his tip and deployed divers to search the river, but they didn't find anything. In November of 1951, Robert received a call for ransom by someone who demanded $25,000 in exchange for Beverly. The man, who went by the name of Frank Dale David, was eventually caught by the police but denied being involved in Beverly's disappearance. Police made every effort possible to solve the case, but sadly their efforts amounted to nothing and the case went cold. Over the years, police had a long list of people who they suspected were involved in the kidnapping and possible murder of Beverly Potts. In November of 1951, a man by the name of Stephen Tykody made contact with Patricia Swing's father and claimed that he had Beverly. He said that he is willing to return Beverly to her family only if Patricia dressed up as Beverly and stood near the magazine counter at the May Company department store. When caught by the police, he had no explanation to why he made the calls. According to the reports, after taking a lie detector test, police cleared him of any involvement in Beverly's disappearance. In 1955, police in Los Angeles arrested Harvey Lee Rush on drunk charge. While in police custody, Harvey said he wanted to confess to the murder of Beverly Potts in Cleveland. According to him, he lured Beverly to a wooded alley where he killed and buried her. He claimed he killed Beverly in 1952, but the timeline didn't match as Beverly disappeared in 1951. After being extradited to Cleveland, Harvey Lee Rush recanted his confession, saying he confessed because he wanted to get back to his hometown. Among the suspects was William Henry Redmond, former carnival worker and a convicted child molester, who in 1988 was indicted in the murder of 8-year-old Jane Marie Eltoff. Apparently, while in prison, Redmond told his cellmate that he had killed 3 other girls. He was in the Journal area at the time of Beverly's disappearance, but when authorities tried to question him about Beverly Potts, Redmond refused to make any statement. According to the former Cleveland police detectives James Fuest and Robert Shankland, back in 1974 they received a tip from a local attorney who said that a client of his had a brother who confessed to kidnapping Beverly Potts. They tracked down the man who had already been indicted for the abduction of 2 girls. According to the detectives, the man admitted he lived near Halloran Park. He also said that he picked up and molested young girls from the area. When asked about whether he remembered abducting Beverly Potts, the man replied, "I might have, I don't remember." He said he had flashes of memory involving a girl named Beverly, though he didn't remember her last name. Robert and James were positive that they had the right man, but due to lack of evidence, the prosecutor office of Cuyahoga County decided not to prosecute him. In the early 2000s, Brent Larkin of Cleveland Plain Dealer received a letter, assumed to be written by an elderly man. The letter contained a confession. 50 years is long enough to live with what I have done. The man said he was dying and wanted to confess of molesting and murdering Beverly Potts on the night of August 24, 1951. He promised that on the 50th anniversary of Beverly's disappearance, he would turn himself in to the police, but the man never came through with his promise and sent another letter, in which he said that he had to enter a nursing home and wouldn't be able to keep his promise of surrendering himself to the police. Even after an extensive investigation, police was unable to ascertain his real identity, and the letters are now believed to be a hoax. Due to her shy and cautious nature and the fact that her parents had warned her against talking with strangers, many people believed that Beverly was familiar with her abductor. Their theory says that Beverly on her way home was approached by a familiar person, most likely a neighbor, who offered her a babysitting job, lured her to a house and took her life away. In connection to this theory, police searched the basement of an old auto body shop, but the search proved to be fruitless. According to Beverly's playmate Patricia Swing, when she last saw Beverly, she was watching the show with a woman who had her hand placed on Beverly's shoulder. On the night of August 24, 1951, Beverly Potts disappeared without a trace, leaving behind sorrow, anguish, and many unanswered questions. Beverly's mother, Elizabeth, was left devastated by the loss of her daughter. She started drinking heavily, and in 1956, 5 years after Beverly went missing, Elizabeth died due to cirrhosis of liver. Her father, Robert Potts, passed away in 1970. Her elder sister, Anita Potts, died in 2006. About her sister, Anita said that she still thinks of her as a 10-year-old. She is still a little girl. It's hard for me to visualize how she would look today. In the West Park Cemetery of Cleveland, next to her parents' graves, there's a memorial gravestone for Beverly Potts. Thanks for watching our video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and share our videos with your friends and family, as it can help us expand our reach. Stay tuned for our next video. Until then, goodbye.